Now it's time for our teleconference with Professor Dr. Ben Moll from Australia.
Hello Ben, how are you?
I'm just putting on the radio.
Do you see our picture? Is it clear?
Yeah. Yes.
We don't see yours. We want to see.
Let's see. I put the camera on here.
Okay, thank you. We have some few questions to you, if you allow us. And my Dr. Ashraf will speak to you. So please.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, I'm just dressed in without a tie. I see you guys are very formal there.
We would like to welcome Professor Dr. Ben Moll from Australia in our teleconference, and we would like to ask him some questions if he could share us with his advice about them.
Yep.
First question is, do you think time-lapse incubators would improve pregnancy rates?
I saw the questions just very recently, so I don't know, why should it improve it? What is the evidence?
What is the evidence?
I guess some recent literature in human reproduction and RBM Online that claiming that it could be of better value than ordinary incubator. What do you think?
But was it assessed in randomized studies or not?
No, I guess it didn't perform it in a randomized control trial.
So then we don't know.
Okay.
So I think, so I understood, so what is it? So I don't know where Egypt is with its pregnancy rates with IVF. Could you inform me on that?
We average about 45 live birth rate, I guess.
That's 45%?
45%, yes, live birth rate.
Per side.
Which is considerably high because usually women are usually young in age.
Yeah, so that's very good. So then I think you're in the position to evaluate that with a randomized trial, and that's the only way to make real progress. Because everybody can claim.
But in your center, whether in Netherlands or in Australia, you didn't try to use time-lapse incubators. So
listen, I am living in Australia, but I don't have an Australian passport. So I don't feel responsible for what Australians IVF clinics do, and actually they do a lot. Where I think that is actually over medicalization, and the Netherlands is not using it. So my advice would be, if you are talking to a bigger room of gynecologists there, there is a bigger.
Can you repeat the question?
Sorry?
Can you repeat your question, please?
So my question is, you're talking to a bigger group of colleagues there?
Yeah, a lot of people, around 400 people.
So how many IVF cycles do that people together?
Around 45,000 in Egypt last year. 45,000.
Okay, so let's do it now. You have the time-lapse incubator available?
No, we don't. That's why we asked this question. Is it cost benefit? Is it cost effective? We are not sure whether we are going to buy an expensive incubator for nothing, not to improve anything.
That is a good question, but then what I want to propose is, because I was approached for this meeting, I think 2 days ago, so I could not go into detail in the literature, but I would then propose to just do a formal literature search, see how good it is. And if there is no trial, I wouldn't do it. And I would maybe negotiate with the person who provides the material to do the trial.
Okay, can we shift to another question?
Yeah, sure.
Is minimal stimulation protocols in IVF, do you have them in place in your daily practice?
They are used a lot also. How do you find minimal stimulation? That's an important question.
Either permit HMG or low dose HMG.
Yeah, I think that it's actually good to go to mild stimulation. There is, and what is the number of oocytes you're targeting? Or the number of follicles?
Here maybe up to 4 or 5.
That's good. I think that all the data show that actually stronger stimulation doesn't add to the pregnancy rates, but it increases the risk of complications and bad outcomes, both in the hyperstimulation as well as the quality of the pregnancy thereafter. So I would, and do you use it in a frozen setting or in a fresh cycle setting?
In a fresh cycle.
Fresh cycle, I would go for minimal stimulation. The big question, and that is unsolved actually, if you go to frozen cycles, where you should really stimulate hard and then create, to say almost a family, and put them in the freezer, so that you can use the result of the stimulation over multiple transfers back, single embryo transfer. I don't think nobody knows the answer, but I think in terms of fresh cycles, I would go for mild stimulation.
Thank you. Proceeding to the third question, is there a place for low molecular weight heparin in recurrent miscarriage? In your practice, in your opinion?
I think that has been well evaluated. The group in the Netherlands, and I was part of that group at that time, did a randomized clinical trial comparing this treatment with and without aspirin versus no treatment, and there is no benefit. And I think actually that there is no effective treatment for recurrent miscarriage whatsoever. And the other thing we know is that the pregnancy rates, the successful pregnancy rates of those women over longer time are very good. There is a good publication from Kaandorp in Fertility and Sterility last year that actually shows that if you just leave those women alone and you encourage them, that they will have a successful pregnancy rate of 70 or 80% without any treatment.
Thank you.
We don't have any proof that any treatment improves that outcome.
Thank you. Proceeding to the fourth question, what would you advise to do DNA fragmentation test for a fertile couple routinely?
For semen analysis, do you recommend the DNA fragmentation test?
No, I don't think the value of that has been shown. Again, I must say, maybe I disappoint you people. I am privileged to be with your meeting. I think it's special actually that we can communicate in this way. So I don't want to disappoint you, but I'm basically very skeptical of a lot of interventions we do, and also the DNA fragmentation test has not any beneficial value. I'm just involved in a systematic review that is not published yet, but the result of that is that those tests don't bring any benefit for the couples involved.
Okay, if we are talking about teleconference with you from Australia and here in Cairo, this will lead us to our last question to you. How could doctors here in Egypt catch up with new information, catch up with new technology, apart from in the pharmaceutical industry or industry in general? How could we catch up with knowledge, up-to-date knowledge, real knowledge, which could make a difference in our practice?
That is the most difficult question there is. What is your answer?
This was one of my answers, to communicate with you through teleconference and then explore your opinion. I want you to answer.
I think, here is my opinion. I think that as a medical profession throughout the world, we don't use the opportunity we have to communicate and inform each other. And it's actually strange that if you compare the medical profession to other fields, like the military defense that there is there, or issues with global warming, etc. And agreements between countries that in medicine there is no form actually, or no organization that helps us in sharing our information. So I think we should build it then. So I think that Cochrane probably is a good start, but I see that only as a start. And I actually think that we should discuss information that is covered, etc., to come to better protocols. And also the other thing is I think we should stick to our protocols. I think specifically in reproductive medicine we are at risk of doing a lot of interventions where we don't know whether they are effective. We just have addressed 4 questions. And I think one time I said, I don't know. 2 times I said, don't do it. And only 1 time I said, do it. And I think this is about what we should realize with all the innovation we do. So we should be more moderate. We should report our success rate. That's also important, and we should share knowledge. So I'm happy to come to Egypt any particular time in the future.
Soon, inshallah.
Another thing I want to say also is that we should be aware of cultural differences between people. I just moved from the Netherlands to Australia, and that might be a small step because it might be that those countries are quite similar, but I experience a lot of cultural difference between the Netherlands and Australia. Now, what about the cultural differences between Egypt and Europe? My wife is a Muslim, she's from Bosnia, the former Yugoslavia, and there are big differences, I think, between people, and we should acknowledge that. And once we acknowledge that, we can communicate on what we think is the best knowledge and share.
So, we would like to thank you for your valuable time, and we would like to ask you our last question. Would you like to come here in Egypt physically in the next year in Ganna IVF conference?
If we plan a date, I'm traveling on a regular basis between Australia and Europe, as well as the US. Actually, I just booked my next trip in June. Will bring us on a short holiday in Dubai. So that is very close to Egypt.
Okay. So
and the other thing that I was in 1999.
We should know your schedule, and then we'll invite you to come.
So the answer is yes.
Thank you very much, and see you soon then.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Hassan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.